Hey, I thought of who that head was. I think his name was Max Headdrawn or something like that. And I think it's from the 80s. You could look up about it, but I don't remember what his messaging was either. He was just this big head. It was like a free floating head or something. It was probably our disclosure towards AI. This free floating control that we have, well, basically, we have aligned ourselves to it. That's why I think it's kind of painful to pull free from it because we're so aligned with it. That's part of this three-dimensional kind of existence. But I wanted to talk about Stella for a second. And also, I don't talk about her just, so I have something to talk about. I talk about her health and stuff because it's significant to me over our Western medicine and, what we're all going through. So, she's really been having a hard time. And so she was refusing to take the meds. And then I tried to get more sneaky with them. And then she would run the other direction and stuff. And so I was like, I swear she's trying to tell me that the meds are making her sick. And, but then but her pain will get bad. And then she'll be whiny. And it's so hard to know what she's whining about. So I snuck some more meds in. And then she got super sick this week, and she puked a couple times. I went outside yesterday and I saw her have diarrhea. And every time I went out after that, she wasn't going to the bathroom. But she did end up eating later at night and she didn't puke or anything. So I don't think it's an obstruction, but she still is just like, she wants to be left alone. She keeps going off and laying by herself. And then when she doesn't want to be around me, she's super whiny, wants to be right on top of me. So I know she's not feeling good at all. And the weird thing is too, so, I'm trying to decide, do I go back into the vet? I mean, how many times have I gone? Like 5 or 6 times since this, what is it called when it is inflammation has started, since it got, I don't know, like if you have rheumatoid arthritis, you have a certain flare-up, that's what it is. Since this flare-up started, which I think it was right around when Winston died, right before when he was sick, because she kept crying and I kept thinking she was crying about him being sick. But now, I see it much different. So, since this flare-up started, I think I've gone to the vet, well, a whole bunch of times for different treatments too, because she was getting acupuncture but I think like 5 or 6 times, it's expensive. And plus here, where it's drive up and drop off your dog. You don't even get to go in, and she has horrible panic about the vet. So, and they just tell me the same thing every time. And even when they said, well, if we did more tests to see like if there was something else, which they don't think it's cancer or something because she's so young, but if we did do more tests, then they wouldn't do different on the treatment. Like, I don't know, they didn't even talk anything about chemo or anything like that, but that's all they said. They didn't even say, maybe it could be cancer. They just said, we're doing all we can with these medications, an anti-inflammatory and a pain pill. And, I was on all those medications when I was on an anti-inflammatory and taking gabapentin. And that's what she's on. And, it was making me so sick. I mean, I was on a lot of medications that were having a lot of bad interactions, but I definitely know that I lived it, how sick you get from the pharmaceuticals. So, when they say all that shit at the end of the fucking commercial, that is the more likely scenario than not having any reaction. They're disclosing it to you for a reason. So, because you have to participate, you have to play along, you have to play the game. So, and Stella's not saying she wants to play the game. I'm deciding for her. The vet's deciding for her. I get to talk to the vet over the phone, which, by the way, from what I understand, my doctor had already said they were going into telephone call appointments now. It wasn't going to be regular appointments. And then when I went out to lunch the other day, my friend told me that she had heard that they were going to go for national tele appointments, that most doctors would be located in New York, and we would have to call in to talk to them, and it's just going to be for pharmaceuticals. So yesterday when I called the vet the first time. And I wanted her to talk to the vet and ask about the medicines. And I said, I'm stopping the gabapentin because I think she's having a reaction and she doesn't want to take it. And so I'm not sure if I should stop the anti-inflammatory too. And the girl wouldn't even ask the vet. She just, she just said, no, it shouldn't be anything with the medicine. She's been on the medicine so long. I was on the medicine a real long time. That's what it does. It it messes up your organs because you're taking it for extended time. So she said, no, she's been on it a long time. It should be fine. That right there was a sign to me. And then she goes, she should keep taking her medicine. It probably has nothing to do with any of that. And it's like, well, I know Stella better. I mean, I spent all my time with her, and I know she's showing me something with the meds. And in the way she smells them and stuff. And then she turns and runs like, ugh, like she wants to puke. And she has puked. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to watch her and see, if she does better. And I'll let you know. Maybe I'll call later for an appointment or something. So then I tried to feed her. And I had gone to the store and I got her some chicken breast and cottage cheese. So I tried to feed her. She wouldn't eat. She, no matter what I would offer her, which is so weird, she wouldn't eat. And so then I started getting nervous again. So I called the vet again. And I had said, can we have, because my daughter said, you should be able to have in-person appointments now. All the mandates are lifted. And I was like, okay. So I called and I asked, no, you have to set that up special. No, they kind of like this drive up and drop off your dog. They don't want to deal with you. So then she said, well, you have to set up a special appointment for that. And then I said, that she wasn't eating and I didn't know. And so she started saying, well, you want to go off the medication anyways. And I said, yeah, well, I think it has something to do with that. She goes, well, then why would you need an appointment? Because if you're refusing medication, then how would coming in and seeing, because then you'd be refusing the medication that we would be prescribing. So that's all you can do is just, now it's just prescribers. They're just prescribers. They're not here for our animals' health. I mean, how much money I have paid over the past few months to the vet. And, it has not improved Stella's life at all. I'm still, my big plan is to, I just, about the selling the house, it just is way too risky because, right now everything's so unstable. And I've known this crash was going to occur and it's been slowly. I don't know how they've held on to it this long, but this crash is occurring. And so I don't even understand how banks are even loaning out money, but it's all just, it's all them juggling all the time. So if I were to sell it, which I think my house would sell really fast, it's like one of the more like, it's very unique around here. So I think it would sell super fast and I would get a lot of money. I mean, I came in really low and right now it's so high. And it would be getting away from this 300 new houses they're putting in our neighborhood. Oh God, the noise of that is going to be so horrible. Oh my God, you're out in the woods just to listen to pounding and explosions and shit. Oh, it's horrible. But our soil's super huge rocks, like giant boulders. And so then if I sold it now and it sold fast, which I think it would, and I went to go try and get a place, it's like musical chairs right now. You could be left holding a bunch of paper money that has no value, and then you just gave up what you had that was value, which was a piece of property. Because there's certain things that have value that they can't just take away. I mean, they can force us to try and hand it over to them, but that, that's all of their illegal bullshit that they've been doing that's all coming to the surface. But like right now, it's like musical chairs. You sell your house, hold on to the cash while you find another one, because everything goes down right then. You're holding on to a lot of monopoly money. You've got no value. You just gave up what you owned, and now you've got nothing of value. So, and I know that there's going to be stuff to help people get resettled, but I just, I don't know. That seems risky. Plus, when I start thinking about it, they start showing me, all of the things that I had set up to set this up as a little, little, whatever it would be called, a Airbnb resort kind of little place to come and bring your family while you're traveling. So it just seems crazy to do that. I just feel like I definitely need to stay focused on the getting it ready to rent out for travelers. It just seems like the smartest thing. And I don't know, I'm just taking off in my car and driving down to Arizona. My daughter has been looking up stuff like in Ensenada. But when I was looking up stuff about Costa Rica, there's a lot of crimes against the white people. And I think Ensenada being a border town, because when I listen to David Rodriguez, he's talking about the border, even though he's on the Texas border, the California border. I mean, I used to go down to Tijuana and Ensenada. We used to go down to Ensenada, go camping, and there would be jeeps patrolling, and their police look like army, and they have these giant, like huge machine guns, and they drive around and patrol. So, but they're all criminals too. I mean, I think if you don't become a criminal as a cop, they would probably kill you. Like they're in cahoots, like with the cartel. This cartel is in control. I think they're in control of the government, everything. So, and they're widespread through South America and into Mexico. And see, that's what they want to do to the whole world. They want us all to be third world, at that level, so that they have all the control. And that's, what they're trying to do right now is take down these last countries that were still the problem, why they don't control everything. So that's why we're being hit so hard. But what was I saying? So anyways, it just seems like, kind of like dangerous right now to go to the border and be over there, even though it'd be cheap. I could probably be a hermit, and but until some of this stuff is settled, there's so much danger. I mean, there's still so many people dying every day down at the border towns off of the fentanyl, and the fentanyl's gone worldwide. I mean, they've sent it out everywhere. This whatever it is that they mixed in with this stuff that's killing so many people. So they do that stuff on purpose. I mean, anybody who thinks that the pharmaceutical, medical, government, and the street drug dealers and all that aren't fucking in bed together, you just don't know. I mean, the CIA was supplying the Manson family, so you gotta start thinking in a broader sense of what this world is. So anyways, I don't know about if that would be smart, but I am just thinking, just go and I bought a tent, and it could be fun. Go down to Arizona, go out in the desert, and just take Stella, because she would feel so much better to get into a drier climate. This climate is just horrible for arthritis, and then just see if that doesn't help. But maybe I could go down there and find a little trailer to rent out until things improve, and then just start getting this place rented out, even if I don't have everything fixed. I mean, I'm sure there'd be some families. I mean, people go glamping. I don't have to have it be perfect. Anyways, so that's kind of like how I'm feeling about doing that kind of stuff. And another thing too is, I was thinking about, I was thinking a lot about this, and it's part of being in tune with your body and knowing your own, being tuned in to where you're listening and you understand your body. You're tuned into it and its cycles, and because there's gonna be where there's not gonna be birth control, more than likely. I mean, especially when people start finding out the sterilization program that they've really been in. And so there's going to be a big movement away from that kind of pharmaceutical in all aspects of our life. It's going to crash and burn. That has to, because it has no place in our existence. And truly the medical establishment doesn't, you shouldn't be cutting into our bodies and taking parts out and stuff. Nature has healing capabilities and our own capabilities with our consciousness. is phenomenal. So anyways, we'll be moving more into that kind of state of being. But you know, when you talk about birth control, and this is something that, you know, a lot of people, and I'm not going to just say girls, because I think that the couple should be tuned into the cycle. It shouldn't just be one person's responsibility. You know, two people are involved in the act. Two people need to be held responsible for everything that happens. And nobody should be handing over their power to somebody else. Here, you decide. It's all on you if we're going to have a baby or not, right? It should be both people. So when you are in your cycle for a woman, and right now they've got them really jacked up and stuff for a lot of people, and so you know, I can't say for sure what's going to happen for everybody, but we're going to go into those med beds will help with regulating all of your stuff, getting you to a cellular optimum using vibration and frequency and stuff. So, but you also have to be healing yourself. You're not gonna be able to, like I've said before, you're not gonna be able to go in there not taking care of yourself and think it's gonna work. It is gonna have something to do with you having to be tuned into yourself. That's why it's important to start getting to know your body now. But in the cycle for pregnancy, it should be so simple. They got people to rely on medication, and before, people didn't really understand the cycle. They kind of knew some about it, but they didn't know everything about it. But we're more developed now, and we do understand more about it. And it should be super simple to use your cycle as your birth control, because you have a certain amount of days in between each period. And you start monitoring how many days are in between. Typically, it is 21 or 28. So it's somewhere about 3 weeks or 4 week cycle. So every woman will have a cycle that will fit somewhere in there. So you start paying attention, like how from the time your period ends, how many days till it starts again, and start keeping track on a calendar or something. So dead in the middle of that cycle should be the period of time that you ovulate. And when you ovulate, that is when, you know, you're ripened and ready for pregnancy. And if you have sex a few days before that, or a few days after, depending on the sperm and stuff, how strong it is, and depending on a lot of your environment inside of you, if the sperm can last before or after it is injected into you. So if you have sex a few days before and you have strong sperm, you know, and that's a healthy guy, and that sperm can live inside of you a couple days, and then your egg starts to move through its cycle, and the sperm can penetrate it at that point. And then it will go into your uterus, and then it has to find something to connect to. So sometimes they don't connect and they come out, you know, like a blood clot or something. It's like a chunk of cells or whatever that couldn't connect. And so you have that possibility. But if you pay attention and you know, like, when is your prime time for you know, your ripened time, when you're ready, would be in that. It's usually like 5, probably even 7 days, could be more safe. Like if you're really trying to not have kids, if you're really trying to have kids, then you want to do it in those 4. You want to do it, but you don't want to do it too much because it weakens the sperm. Because don't forget, a sperm can go in there and it can live and look around. It doesn't die the moment it's ejected. It has a life after. So you have it, if you're trying to get pregnant, then you want to really focus on, in that time period, you know, like probably for the partner to let it build up for 24 hours and then do it, and then do it again every 24 hours in between those 5 days. But when you do it, the woman needs to prop her bottom up on a pillow and lay there for 20 minutes after you do it, because it puts them swim in the right direction. You know, it gives them some leverage to get to the egg. So if you're trying to get pregnant, that's what is the best way to do it. And if it's not working, then you probably have some other issues going on. And, a lot of people have some issues going on right now. I mean, that's part of their thing, is to not only kill us, but to sterilize us, because they want total control. They want to have lab created kids. I think we've already been interacting with some, and I think that's going to come out. I don't know if everything will come out, but definitely I think that there has already been some cloning going on. There's already families who, take payoffs to raise these kids, and these kids don't know. And, and maybe they will keep it a secret, so that some of these people don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of stuff is going to come out when people start really wanting to understand what's going on. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come out. And, a lot of it's going to be horrible. I mean, there could be some kids learning right now. Like, they're seeing these people talking about stuff, and they start putting two and two together and thinking, something's up. And why do I look like all these different people, in the same job as me or something, So, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on and what people don't understand about this planet. So, anyways, when you are in this and you're trying to not get pregnant, so you have this 5 to 7 day period where you need to, you can abstain, but there's plenty of things to do that don't create ejaculation inside of you. There's other things you can do. You don't have to go near that. That can be your special time to go into that situation when you are not ovulating. Like, it's simple when you really start understanding and tuning into your body. And it should be both people. The man should know just as much about the woman's cycle if he's in a couple with her. It should not be, that is, you turning over responsibility to somebody else. And not only that, if you have unhealthy boundaries and you don't have a healthy relationships, you are in a period of time of learning from one another. And the lessons are always come back to learning to love yourself. But, as long as you keep yourself trapped into that, you're going to keep having those lessons come and come and come until you learn them. And a lot of people, hi, sweetie. A lot of people don't understand, why they feel their relationships are failing them or something. Honey, she's going to do that. She's like a bull in a china shop. You get up there, sweetie. She hasn't eaten yet or taken any medicine at all. The only thing, she did end up taking some RSO twice yesterday. It was the only thing she would eat was some RSO and a graham cracker. Now she's going to go over to her food. Maybe she'll eat. And then I can go out and see what's her poop, if she's got something funky with her poop still. So, anyways, if you are not being a participant in the cycle of your person, then you are kind of in a low vibration, like, you're putting power over to somebody else. You're not taking responsibility for yourself. And so you'll learn that lesson. That'll be a lesson that will come out loud and clear. I mean, that has been a particular huge lesson for a lot of people in this this world presently, because there's so many men who are paying child support or not paying child support, and women having kids with people who they're not together with, because it was never going to be that kind of relationship. It was a relationship there to teach you how to love yourself, not for you to bring in another life so that you would be bound to this kind of toxic relationship. But that's what a lot of people, they have to learn those things. And, there's just so many, complications with children, and I don't even know if I should take her back to the vet. They just do the same thing every time. They say the same stuff every time. And now, if their whole thing is, well, you got to take the medicine. God damn. When I told my daughter that yesterday about the medication, the one who's She's, well, all my daughters are very three-dimensional. They're very stuck in the 3D, and they can't understand me at all because I'm outside of that. And, you know, when I talk, they're going to decipher what I'm saying in the language that they understand, which is 3D. And I'm not speaking on their language, so they don't understand what I'm talking about usually. But so I feel really fortunate when I get to make some points, because it's not like they're not going to come in and listen to me. I don't have people in my family that come in and listen to me talk. And they have no idea what I think and how I believe. They just think I'm, you know, crazy Kelly. So, but I was talking about the pharmaceutical thing with Stella, and I said, you know, they all the doctors get kickbacks for prescribing medicines. You know, I saw that when I was an office manager in my 20s in the doctor's office that I worked. And you know, that the pharmaceutical company pays for their vacations, their parties. They're constantly figuring out ways to give them money if they, you know, they monitor it all on the prescription pad. Like they can follow, they know what doctor prescribes what. And see, you thought the prescription pad didn't have any, you thought, oh, we have to have that. No, they monitor it. This is what they told me. Back then, I used to talk to the drug reps all the time. That's how they can keep track of what doctors are prescribing, so then they know which doctors to give the most to. I think it's gotten a lot more of just, you know, you get bonus checks or something. So when I was telling my daughter this, she goes, oh, you know, I heard about a surgeon in I think Arizona, I don't remember, some state, a surgeon, and they found out he had gotten $185,000 altogether from the pharmaceutical company. I said, yeah, they get kickbacks. That's why you can't freaking trust them. That's why commercials, just ask your doctor. The doctors, the drug pushers. And I said, oh, and by the way, the surgeons, don't forget, they're the ones who created the opiate situation. Well, we have it in America. I would imagine it's in most countries, but they're the ones who created the opiate addiction and all the crime associated with that. I mean, when you know how much the opiates affected society here in America, you know, and that was created between big pharma and doctors, surgeons particularly, because they were the ones who were prescribing those OxyContin, hydrocodones and stuff like that. I think more doctors started doing it. You know, there's doctors who do it just to be prescribers, and that could be what that Arizona guy is, to have that much. I think probably he's just one of the ones coming to the surface so that people start paying attention and noticing what's really going on. And then they'll start seeing more and more and more of it, because he's definitely not the only one. I mean, this has been going on when I was working at the doctor's office and talking to the pharmaceutical reps, which the pharmaceutical reps make bank. I mean, working in, you know, I was the office manager of a internist office in Orange County. And when pharmaceutical reps would come in, they have, oh my God, fancy clothes, fancy cars. They're always at parties with doctors. They just travel like they just had the life. And they were making so much money. They were making six figures in the 80s. And yeah, it would have been the 80s. Yeah, it was definitely in the 80s. And they were making six figures then. Pharmaceutical reps. And I would talk to them. I would say, like, what is your degree? Like, how do you get a job like this? Because it seemed like, man, that's a killer job. You just walk around and tell the doctor about your latest drug. You know, oh, we're using this. We've really found, you know, so much success. Besides the fact that most doctors will not go in and listen to those. Most drug reps have to provide a huge lunch. They will make a big buffet lunch, big party lunch. Some, for doctors, they have to have big parties. Like, I've been to some of those, like at fancy seafood and steak restaurants and stuff. And they, to get them to sit and listen. And then, you know, they'll talk for a half hour, 15 minutes or something about their drug and stuff like that. And the doctors don't give a shit. All they want is the check from the pharmaceutical company. They don't give a shit about the drugs, what they do and how they work. No, I don't think that most of them even understand. If you want to talk to anyone about drugs and how they work, it's a pharmacist. They're the specialist on drugs. So that's who you want to go talk to. And they know a lot about nutrition and interactions with drugs and, how it works inside your body. That's who you need to talk to about that kind of stuff. Doctors don't know crap. When they say ask your doctor's only there to go, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's working really well. People really like it. They're not going to go in and start giving you a class on it. They're just going to give you a prescription. And the prescription so that they can, keep track with what doctor is prescribing what. Now that there's so much with the calling in and faxing, I'm sure they have other ways that they keep track of it. The doctors have numbers, just like how we have social security numbers. So I'm sure they use those numbers to track everything. I mean, there's so much. I mean, they track kid blood with the numbers. So, there's so much stuff that people need to start really understanding about, their body, the system that we are living in. And, another thing too, somebody was telling me that somebody is constantly sending them psychic predictions and stuff like that. You got to remember that you should not be listening to anyone else's prediction. Like even when I'm saying stuff like, oh, I know something's going to come, but that's because I have an inner knowing. I've seen it. They've shown me. And maybe I'm not translating it exactly right. Like you don't know until after it happens. But we should never be going outside of ourselves to see through someone else's eyes. We need to have our own connection, because in your inner knowing, you won't need somebody else to tell you when something's going to happen or how it's going to happen or when. You're going to know what you need to know about whatever's going to happen. This idea of going out, and trying to find a psychic that's going to tell you, yeah, it can make you feel better, but a lot of times it'll make you feel disappointed because you have expectation and hope that what they're saying is true. And then if the time goes past, then you have disappointment and sadness and fear and not trusting. So it's the most important thing is to connect with yourself. And, when you think about kings and stuff, like before, they would use the seers, the people who were more connected to the other side, people like me who are more connected to the other side because they have limited sight and a seer has vast sight. And anybody can become a seer. It's you tuning in to the other side. But, the kings and stuff, they wouldn't do that. They thought of these people as being different or whatever, because you are different when you tune into what other people aren't tuned into, and they don't even realize what that means until they tune in to the other side. Then it's like it opens it up, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it now. You're relying on your eyes and ears and your senses rather than your internal. It's hard to explain, but when you start doing it will make more sense, the difference in how significant it really is. But and before, when kings would rely on them, instead of a king going and wanting to learn, how do I go? How do I relax? How do I tune into the other side? How do I learn to listen to myself? They would use these people. And then if these people, say they said, oh yeah, do this battle, this will happen, and it didn't go right, then this person would be put to death for treason and stuff. They're making this other person be responsible for their choices. And that is an important thing for all people as you are going through your spiritual journey, to start tuning into yourself, because it is your path that you need to know about. Like I said, when these people talk about what was it? The astrology person who this one, I'm still hopeful for the one, because I know that the planetary stuff does have something to do with it, because it has to do with the ages and the changing of the ages. So I know it has something to do with it. But when that one, when she was saying, because they all always say stuff like about equinoxes and full moons and stuff like that. There's just different planetary alignments. Like when 2020 started, the planets lined up for the first time since the American Revolution. They lined up the same. So we started our revolution of change in 2020. Things came to the surface for so many people. I mean, there's so many people still trapped in the illusion. They haven't seen past it, but you know, they're all going to get the awakening that everybody gets the chance to awaken. Even when these people seem like they're so trapped, it still will come. And but when there was that one lady, the one I said she kind of looks like a Southern belle, and she was talking about some alignments. It seems like they were a couple months ago, and she said a lot of bad stuff is going to happen during this alignment, because they'll go in and explain it. I find it interesting. But when they explain like what the different planets represent and how they're aligning, and when they've aligned like that before, what's happened and stuff. And she was saying something bad will happen. And like I said then, like it can be something bad that is more in one central place that we don't know about. So it can be something really bad happened in Taiwan, and you know, we don't know, like the stuff happening in the Ukraine and Russia and stuff. They're not telling us the truth about it. I mean, they are manipulating us. So that's why it's pointless for you to try and pay attention to it, because they're using it to distract you and using it to control your emotions. And one thing too, I'll just end with this, is you know, the thing about your emotions and following your guidance and stuff, you know, you need to follow your own gut. You need to be tuned into your own emotions, but there's a balance that you need to find by letting your emotions guide you and tuning into your emotions. Like there's a balance that you need to find there. You know, like I've said before, it's a mastery. You're here to learn a mastery over your emotions. That's why you have them. That is why so much with fear is coming up. And what I've talked about, you know, a while back, about how fears can create phobias, and that's what we have going right now. All these people have become phobic. I mean, they're putting these things on. They're putting them on to touch somebody. It's like, it's just, it's crazy. This morning, I was thinking something about, I got up I was soaking in the tub, and I got up and I went out, and I went out to grab some honey to put in my hair and stuff. And when I went back in, and gets little sticks in the tub, you know, and I'll sit there and look at these little sticks, and I'll think, you know, like I know people who would freak the fuck out, like, get this water out. There's a stick in the water. It's germy. It's dirty now. I'm not getting clean. And I always think about like the cowboys and stuff, you know. I think sometimes they even shared a tub. I don't think that they all got clean water. You know, I think if a bunch of cowboys came into town, you know, the first one got the clean water, and then, you know, they all bathed in the same thing. I mean, people used to take a bath in a lake to clean themselves off. So I always think of that, of like, that we've just gotten to this point of like, oh, we need to have good smells. We need to have everything sterile. There can't be any dirt or sticks or something. Like, they're creating this kind of OCD way of being, you know. People are so focused on things that don't matter, you know, that it is, it just, you know, but you have to see for yourself. I mean, there's people who are going around, you know, sterilizing their house with chemicals, and the chemicals are what's killing them. So, yeah, but, you know, people have to see it for themselves. You know, that's part of the process, the consciousness becoming conscious of itself. You know, it has to move out of this unconscious, dependent autopilot state. It has to move up through the chakras. It has to heal itself. So all of those things all go together about your healing, and in how it turns more on inside of your body, and you do start connecting to the other side, and you will have your own guidance that will direct you through your life. And I'll say another one too, real quick. I'll leave this one. Is this morning I had turned on and I got a tarot reading. I love when I get those, because there's always messages to me when my guides give me those messages. And this one, the girl was talking, and mine have been so consistent for like 8 months. It's crazy. Like, I mean, just in the synchronicity of my readings, there's no, I mean, I see the supernatural all the time. But so she was doing it, and all of a sudden she said, "Oh, child," or she didn't say it like that. She said, "Oh, child," like that. And in my head, I heard, "Oh, child, things are gonna get easier." So I started looking up that song. I was like, "That's the message. That's what the message is," because it didn't have anything to do with what she was saying. She was just like pulling the cards and just like, "Oh, child," you know. And so I found the song and I went and listened to it, and there was a message in the song. So that's what I'm saying. Pick up, be more tuned in to this other side that's trying to communicate with you, because they are around you. They are trying to communicate with you. And that is who you need to be listening to. We don't need to be going outside of ourselves like we do, looking for someone to give us the answers. The answers are inside of us. What we need to know is inside of us. What we need to do is focus on us and our healing. And that is what's going to change the world. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.